let's get going. Let's get started. Sorry about the technical glitches. We're gonna rock and roll now. Okay.
Okay. Are we on the air?
We are on the air. Talk to me. Tell me about Ben. Tell me about Wasteless. Tell me how, when you're doing the startup gig, you manage to have a George Michael tan. I want to know how you're looking so healthy.
Yeah, well, too many questions. Okay, I'll start. My name is Ben Biron. I'm co-founder of Wasteless. And we've built a system for supermarkets to price and sell products based on expiration date. Okay, so that means consumers can now buy products and pay different prices based on the expiration date of the product. And they can choose products that expire within a few days and pay a potentially fraction of the price, or choose a product that expires within 2 or 3 weeks and pay a regular price. So this is the system we've built for supermarkets to do that, because today they have a lot of waste that happens because people don't want to buy products that have short expiration date.
Okay, so it's called Wasteless, so Wasteless, and is that .com or .co?
.co.
.co. And it's basically helping grocery stores by allowing them to do multiple pricing for single items based on expiration dates. Is that right?
Yes. So we've noticed that supermarkets are left with about $2,300 worth of waste per store per day. And that's because the products lose value the closer they get to their expiration date. But today their price stays the same. So there's no incentive for any of us consumers to pick them up. We just prefer the products that have longer expiration dates. So we wanted to basically apply dynamic pricing on these products, which is something we see today online a lot, if it's on Amazon or when we book for flights or hotels. So we wanted to do it for groceries too, and make them available and just worth it for consumers to prefer to pick up. And so, we help supermarkets get more revenue because now they can sell those items. We help consumers get cheaper prices. And then in the end of the day, we keep more food on the table as opposed to in the garbage.
Okay. So, did you say $2,300 a day of waste for a grocery store?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's kind of the big guys. That's kind of Walmart and ShopRite and all those kind of folks, right?
Yeah.
Is there a specific category within the grocery store that is most impacted by these kind of sell-by dates? Or is there an area of focus for you guys?
The categories we're focusing on are fruits and vegetables that are packed, because it's kind of hard for us to still track unpacked fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. Dairy products, packed meat or fresh meat, and bread also, and any of the prepared sandwiches and meals that you see in supermarkets are stuff that it has a short expiration date and can be tracked and should be sold in different prices.
Okay, so why is this a good thing for consumers?
Because they get cheaper prices. I mean, consumers today don't have too much of knowledge or education on expiration dates. So they think whatever date is, that means the product is no good. And so they prefer to take the products with a longer expiration date. But from science, we know that once the price is reduced, they start thinking, okay, I'm going to eat this today. Why wouldn't I just take it? And then we change the economics of the product and make more people interested in it.
Okay, so that means that because, let's say, for example, let's use a pint of milk, right? Or a gallon of milk, or whatever the hell, the measurement is of a carton of milk. I go to a store, I look at it, look at the milk, and I figure out, okay, the expiration date on this milk is 6 weeks away. Which is kind of insane, because I'm actually buying it today knowing I need it tomorrow, right? I'm pretty much running out. I'm buying it knowing I need it tomorrow, but I'm looking for something that's 6 weeks old. What you're saying is I can go find a pint of milk or a gallon of milk that expires in a week's time, which is within the time frame I need it in, and I'm going to get it cheaper.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you explained it the best way.
That often happens, you know.
What?
I'm just messing with you. What? So why would a retailer want this? Because I mean, they're not going to make as much money, surely.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at retailers all around the world, you'll see them trying to make some efforts to sell those items, but in a very manual way. So you'll see like they try to put stickers with discount percentage or barcodes on items that they manually find on the shelf and try to sell them. Some of them will put them in a side shelf, and some of them who are not proactive will just throw them to the garbage. So in the end, we are seeing a improvement, but nothing is done actually from the core of that technology, starting from the beginning, changing the way we are tracking products today and making everything automatic. Right? So what we're doing is we're changing the way we track items. Instead of using barcodes, we're using RFID, and that gives a unique ID for every single item. So that helps us manage and understand the status of expiration dates on the shelf all the time, so that we can dynamically do it without having to send employees to always check what's going on, take products off, put discounts. And also the way discounts are applied today are kind of a guesstimated way. Let's just put 50% discount and hope people will buy it. We end up with products that are either sold at a bigger discount that they could have been sold for. So if you knew what's happening on your shelves, you could have reduced the price in 30% instead of 50%, but you would have done it 2 days before, and that would have been enough to sell the product. You've waited till the last second, you put a 60% discount, and still nobody wants to buy it. So we're doing everything. We're taking this into an automatic mode where we do the job for the supermarket so that the product is sold with the least amount of discount required so that it will be sold. Yeah.
So does that mean that from a shelf perspective, getting back to the consumer, there'll be multiple prices for the same carton of milk? How are they going to figure out which carton is which price if ultimately there are 3 or 4 different prices for the same product?
Yeah, so it's already today we are very used to regular price and discounted price. We see it on the shelves a lot. You'll see like a promotion or whatever. So we already seeing 2 different prices for some items today. What we're doing is we're taking the same thing, just instead of discount price, it's a price for a batch of products that have specific expiration dates. So instead of you seeing that discount sticker, now you'll just look at the expiration date, which you already look at, and then make a decision what you want to buy. We also make it simpler for consumers to understand expiration dates, because today they just look at what's on the shelf and hope they get the best one. We make it transparent. We tell you what's on the shelf so you can make a decision.
I think there's a couple of reasons why I'm excited about this. Obviously, there's the reduction in waste. Obviously, there's the consumers getting better pricing and the retailers being able to optimize their pricing across the life of a product sitting on their shelf. I'm also wondering, you guys are going to be collecting a lot of data. You're going to be getting data around when products sell, at what price, at what time of day, at what day of week, at what time of year. I mean, I'm wondering if there's kind of bigger opportunities here by just starting to get a really significant understanding of consumption. I mean, are you guys already sort of thinking about the bigger, the data opportunities of this?
Tell me. So what we're doing also right now is what I was talking about. We have a pricing engine, right?
I didn't catch that.
We have a pricing engine, right? It's a pricing engine that has a 43 factors that calculate how you come up with a price for a product.
Okay.
And the model I was talking about was using expiration date as one of the factors, and that's how it comes up with prices per expiration dates. But we also apply the same pricing engine, taking out expiration date, in some cases where there is no reason to differentiate items based on date, because let's say the shelf is full right now with products that are selling at a similar rate, all the dates together. Maybe they all are a month away from expiration. So that time you want to use category leaders items and products that are not selling fast enough, and basically play with their prices to impact traffic to the supermarket and increase sales of items that are not selling, or increase sales at times where supermarkets are at dead hours. Mm-hmm. So we want to use the data to attract more people in by reducing prices, and which is something you see also in, we have some old shops here in Tel Aviv where they take the newest Nike shoes, they sell them at a very discounted price, even a loose price, but they know that people are coming and picking up other 5 items, so it's worth for them. So we can do some of these things too by using dynamic pricing, and we've seen that we're in e-commerce platforms. When they started applying dynamic pricing and doing stuff like that, they have seen 10 to 15% increase in sales. That's putting aside waste or other efficiency improvement that we're bringing. That's more focusing on pricing and psychology of consumers.
So for example, you know that when somebody comes into the store on the Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday, they're going to be buying beer. They're going to be buying sodas. They're going to be buying Doritos chips. They're going to be buying hot dogs. I mean, there's a certain range of products that are, bought together, especially, around events and so on. So if, for example, the store through your system reduces the price of item A and brings people into that store, they're likely to increase the sale of items B, C, D, and E.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, it sounds complicated. When did you guys start the company? How long has it been going?
We started a year ago, a little over a year ago. And we're now working at our Tel Aviv office. As you know, the past 5 months-ish, I was in New York with FoodX. So we were splitting our efforts more. The R&D was here, and I was there with Thomas, our sales guy, and marketing, working on, raising money, talking to retailers, getting our name out. And that's basically what we did there, while the guys here did the R&D. And R&D here is involved with RFID engineering, obviously software backend and front end. We have some design here, we have mechanical. So because we make hardware and we make software. So that needs to be a very versatile team. A majority of the team is technical. And right now we are extremely focused on 2 pilot programs that we're doing here in Tel Aviv, in Israel, which is supposed to basically prove our concept, prove the business model or the business case. And from there, we have a plan to go back to the US and expand more.
So proof of concept in Tel Aviv. You say you're a hardware and a software company. How does that, what do you mean by that?
Because to do what we do, we use RFID, right? So
RFID on the tag is the tagging.
Yeah, we use tagging for RFID. So in order to tag every item, you need to have a method that does it very efficiently. And we had to make some hardware to do that for us. If it's at the store level or at the manufacturer level, we had to make some hardware to do that. And we also, because we have unique use case for RFID, you're talking about liquids, we're talking, all the items we tag most of them are liquid, and also a very cheap, very low margin. So there needs to be a very special characteristics to the tags we're working with. And so we work on designing tags and work with the biggest manufacturers in the world for RFID. So that's, each one of them is like a role of a complete person that needs to be dealing with these things. So that will be an example on the hardware side. And also we have point of sale units. We use electronic shelf labels to show prices to consumers. So those are hardwares. From software standpoint, you need to do integration with the point of sale companies. You need to build a pricing engine. So there's a lot of software and mathematics into that. And then everything needs to work together with already existing software that's already been in 10, 15, I don't know how long years in that specific supermarket location. There's a lot of moving parts.
How many people in Wasteless right now?
We're about 6 people right now.
Cool. And from your point of view, what's been the most challenging part of starting this business? Is it been the fundraising? Is it been the getting retailers to try your product? I mean, what have been some of the challenges you guys have needed to overcome?
First of all, I feel like the biggest challenge is still in front of us. It's not behind us. So we're doing something that has a lot of potential, but it's also a really big move. You know, we're trying to implement a new process, which is putting RFIDs instead of barcodes. And to me, how we're going to do that and how we're going to hit the market with that and hope for acceptance at the same time and also in a scalable way will be the most challenging thing we're doing here. Mm-hmm. And probably is the most challenging thing also right now when you talk about fundraising and convincing retailers to work with us. And so this is our role as entrepreneurs and as people that see themselves as trailblazers and bring in new stuff to see this an opportunity to be special, to be first to market, and to be really making a change. You know, we know it's not an easy move, but that's what makes us be excited about it.
So, from your point of view, what would be the perfect customers? In other words, the perfect retailers for you guys to work with as you bring Wasteless to the world?
First of all, I think that our current customers are pretty ideal, very engaged, very interested to see how it works, also very patient and understand that we're a startup and we're not, SAP coming to do integration. They understand that they are growing with us, so that's great. And in general, a customer needs to be someone who is technologically savvy, interested to explore more and get, and just move forward as far as technology, because it's still an industry that is not necessarily the most advanced in the way it works. But, this week we had Amazon, the whole Amazon Whole Foods story, and that shows a really good sign for our industry, for the food and retail space, that a company that is very technologically advanced and always trying to innovate is getting into really the brick and mortar space. Amazon, it's all about e-commerce. Now it's becoming also blocks. And so we're very happy about it because, first of all, it shows faith and belief that the next 10 to 20 years are going to still be in the store and not necessarily online. And also that means all the other stores, all the other chains, which is Walmart, Target, and all these guys have to start being really scared and start working hard on putting technology in, unless they want to get eaten by Amazon, and they already got the hit. So if they want to start working, they have to start working with companies like us and implementing solutions to become better.
It's not just solutions, though. I mean, as I said before, it's data. So one of the things Amazon does extremely well is understanding the data around consumption, around purchasing intent, around consumption, and so on. If a retailer, grocery store introduced your system, they would have greater transparency into what is making their consumers consume when and what. And that allows them to be smarter. I think I also like the fact that your system helps to optimize revenue. So if they've got 100 products on the shelf and they know that they're not going to get their next order of 100 more products for 7 days, the system has the ability to figure out how to sell those 100 units at the best price to A, reduce waste or move to zero waste, but also B, to optimize the pricing and the revenue from those products. I think that's pretty damn exciting.
Same here. So we're getting to our time to work. So there's times when you're like fundraising and you're waiting for some stuff, and there's time when you're still developing, and this is now our time to perform at our pilots and kind of come back and show that everything we think is possible to do with Wasteless is actually doable. So that's what
Which company is in the pilot process with you right now?
We work with a grocery chain called Yenot Bitan. They're the second largest. Yenot Bitan. Bitan.
Bitan. Okay. Mm-hmm.
They're the second largest retailer here in Israel. They just acquired another chain called Mega, which is simpler to say, about a year ago, which made them to be the second largest. And so we work with these guys, and we have an opportunity to scale with them to all their stores, Yenot Bitan and Mega. And additionally, we also work with another chain, which has a much more complicated name, and it's called Machsanei Ashuk. And so they're based in different kind of territories within Israel. Mm-hmm. So it's not that we're like stepping into each other's areas. I think both of them will be much more than enough for us to get what we need within the Israeli market, at least for the next year or two. Which our plan is to not scale to more than them within Israel and scale more outside.
How many stores do they have?
It's about 400 stores in total for both of them. It's big.
You guys are going to roll out across all 400, or is it a sample of?
That's just going to be a matter of, first of all, success. How fast we're able to install, get any problems we may have, and actually get the results we want, and then scale to more and more stores. Obviously, our agreements and the way we talk and work with them are with the idea of scaling it to more and more stores and potentially get to all the stores, but just depends on us. And second, if we have enough funding to be able to support all these projects, which will be also dependent on success. So it's time to be successful.
I wonder if from an investor standpoint, though, you're going to need to get some traction in North America if you're looking for investors outside of Israel. I mean, it's I'm guessing from an investor standpoint, they may look at Israel if they're not familiar with the marketplace. If they're, for example, North America or European investors, look at the Israeli marketplace and not understand that it's actually quite similar to what's happening over here, and that makes them hesitate in terms of pulling the trigger on investment.
We don't have that issue, actually. We don't have that issue, not from investors and not from retailers. So we are in conversations with a few European and North American retailers, and same with European, Israeli, and North American investors. And they all very appreciate the pilot in Israel. I would say they appreciate it to the point where they got to a point where, okay, I think you guys have exactly what you need to show me if I want to be in. So cool. Do your pilot, and if it's successful, I'm in. So that's what we are right now with a good amount of investors that are very interested, following up with us on a bi-weekly basis, I would say, ever since demo day, which was how long, like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Yeah. Ever since then, we're following up with a lot of investors, and we're being very transparent about where we are, and I very appreciate investors that say they want to wait for results. If I was in their shoes, maybe that was also my response, because we have enough money right now to show results. We are still encouraging investors that are very interested in what we're doing to join right now. We give them better offer for that. And the reason why we want them to join right now and not in the end is, first of all, a sign of trust and feeling that specific investor is really believing what we do and not only waiting for everything to be beautiful. And second, we think that if our pilot goes successfully, then we would like to have the funds to scale it really, really fast and not have to go through a fundraise phase. And so those are the reason why we want to get the money. And obviously we understand that it's a little riskier investment than what it could be later, and we're willing to compensate better for that.
So better valuations if they make the decision now versus in how long's the pilot running for? 6 months?
It's going to be between 3 to 5, 6 months. Each pilot's supposed to be for 3 months, but it's not like a rule that we might want to start scaling it to more stores after a month, and we're not starting both of them at the same time. So it's going to be 3 and 3, and they're not going to start at the same time. So it might take a longer lapse. But we will start having results within a month or 2, and that will be a time when we already can show some stuff and get some people potentially willing to now pull the trigger, if it's retailers or investors.
So, when you started the company, was this one of a few ideas that you were considering, and ultimately Wasteless and the kind of issue you're tackling is the one you guys decided to tackle, or did one of you guys have the idea and you sort of brought the other people on board? How did it kind of get started? How did it get rolling?
We were identifying the problem of 40% of the food produced ends up in the landfills. That was
for some reason you cut out there.
We were identifying the problem of 40% of the food produced ends up in the landfills.
Landfills, okay.
So that was a statistic we started with, and for a few months we kind of thought about the idea of Wasteless, but didn't really get into how you can actually make this happen. And none of us comes from the supermarket space, from the retail space. None of us actually worked there ever. We may have done some projects with point of sales. We know data. We come from that background. But for example, knowing that items have different barcode, they have the same barcode exactly, is something I didn't even think is the situation. I thought every item has its own barcode. We know how to track expiration dates. And the initial idea was based on the assumption that it's already happening, until we realized that we're still very old in the way we manage our grocery. So it took us some time to become expert in what we're doing. We had the idea, but we didn't have all the knowledge that we have right now, which in the end formed into the product in the way it is.
So because you were 3 kind of drinking buddies, or I mean,
no, 3 of us work together in the same company called Weisberger. That company does analytics to the beverage space. Mm-hmm. So it's right now the world's leader in beverage analytics. Company has about 100 people in it. Oded, my co-founder at Wasteless, was the 4th guy at Weisberger. Basically did the whole R&D for Weisberger. I joined there as the 15th person. So we learned a lot about analytics, IoT, and the way it works within, there we worked with bars and breweries. Now we work with supermarkets. So we got all immersed into all that analytics space, and I guess that background helped us think to other areas of how we can apply IoT and all these things and make it better.
Perfect. Okay, so you came to FoodX cohort 5?
5.
Cohort 5. Half of the team, or more than half of the team, 2/3 of the team stayed back at home, back in Israel. You came to New York City as the lone guy in a kind of Brooklyn bedsit, being the FoodX guy, right?
First of all, I think I worked like 2 people. So,
You did. You often looked exhausted.
but it's okay. I mean, first of all, we don't have the funds to be able to move 3 people to New York. Israel is a really good place for development. There's talent here. It's not too expensive to get talent together. It's very close. So you call someone and he's in your office in 30 minutes helping you solve a problem. That makes it very easy. We're also very connected. Oded and Yossi, my co-founders, are both 20 plus years in the industry in Israel. So almost anything we think of or we need help with, we know who to call. That makes it very easy. So it was a decision that I'll come to New York to help us learn more about the retail space and the food space within the U.S., get more connections, help us with fundraising, get our word out within the U.S., which is where we plan to go. And the team will continue developing in Israel. And now we're testing here and we're planning to move. So, yeah.
It sounds like having the base in Israel, especially from a kind of development point of view, is not necessarily something you're ever going to want to change. I mean, by all means, have a sales team, selling into North America retail, having kind of customer account management. But, you've got a very smart, very educated workforce in Israel. You've got the network. It might make sense to kind of keep that production side of things, the R&D side of things, back there, right?
Yeah, and that's a model you'll see in a lot of Israeli companies and startups. A lot of them have their marketing, development, business development, and more business-oriented teams in the U.S. and an R&D team in Israel. That happens a lot.
So I'm going to change tact on you very quickly. You said that you were in a kind of analytics company focused on the beer space. You're now solidly in the food space. Any kind of insights from your point of view of what's been interesting or surprising about being involved in the kind of food space in retail, in grocery?
There's a lot of things I'm trying to think of, because I've gone through in the past year through so much of education in the food space. I don't know what to focus on. So I guess maybe I would like you to focus the question more on what kind of things, or maybe give me an example and I can.
So for example, I've worked in different industries. FoodX is the first time I've worked in the food category. There's a couple of things from my point of view which surprise me about being in the food industry. One is it's a very collaborative industry. I've worked in finance. Finance is a very cutthroat, aggressive, individual, type of industry where people are very focused on making money, which is cool. But the food industry seems a lot more collaborative, helpful, supportive, open door. We're focused on an industry which is important. Developing solutions in the food system, in the food industry. These are important categories. For example, I started out my career at Procter & Gamble in cosmetics and fragrances. People don't need another lipstick. People don't need another, fragrance to smell like Beckham or Jay-Z or however the hell they want to smell like now. So there are categories and industries that matter, and maybe there are industries and categories that matter less.
So I can definitely say that being involved in the food space is something that makes me personally proud at what I do. I changed a lot of my habits. So one of the things I don't use, for example, I use only organic soap and shampoo. How I used to keep my diet. So some of the things I start being more aware of when it comes to food. And it also feels like the industry itself is coming up only in these years. Like until now, the the way people reacted towards food was like just more and more and more, and now it's becoming more. People become more aware of food scarcity, or just care about the environment more, and that's why I feel like the food space is growing. We start seeing startups making food out of things we didn't, at least in the Western world, didn't used to eat, like crickets and all that kind of stuff. So I see it. I see a change, and I'm very happy to be involved in it. I don't think when we got into that space, we felt like we're part of a movement, but now being in it, I feel like I'm part of a movement.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Okay, so what's the next six? Sorry.
I always wanted to be part of a movement with my next thing. And when I got to food, I didn't feel like, oh, I'm joining a movement. And that makes me even happier. That means that I wasn't one of those people that joined it. I feel like I was one of the people that actually really was there when everybody felt like it's time to join.
So in other words, you sort of did your thing, and then you looked up and realized you were part of the solution without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so next 6 months, 12 months for Wasteless. What are you guys focused on, and how can people help you?
Yeah, so we had a call with Dude yesterday. Like, okay, how can I help you guys? And right now, we really don't need help. We just, you ask for everybody for help so that you can be good. So it's our time to perform and do what we need to do, to deserve other people to help us after that again. So the next 6 months is us need to work very hard and show results, and then after that I'll talk to you and I'll tell you what I want you to help me with. But in general, I guess it was just about scalability, from getting more retailers abroad, more funding into our company, and then also growing our company, which is something I've never done before. So I've started companies. I probably had 10 employees the most in my life, but I've never actually managed a company that grew to like 20 plus people. I don't necessarily think that I'm even prepared for that, and I'm sure I'll have to have smart people help me, Oded, and my team understand how we grow it, and learn those skills of management that would probably, at least me, yet to have.
Perfect. So companies, if there's a person who works at a grocery company or a CEO of a grocery company who is listening to this, how tough would it be or how easy would it be for them to reach out to you and potentially participate in a pilot of some kind in, whether it's North America, Europe, or whatever? How do they get hold of you? And is this a time-consuming, expensive proposition to kind of undertake a pilot?
No, right now we're funding our pilots. So every engagement we have obviously depends on scalability, SAP, and we have funding for that, and we plan for it.
So in other words, you guys pay to do the pilot. You're not expecting a customer to pay you guys to do the pilot.
For the next 15 minutes, whoever calls, free pilot.
Call 1-800-freepilot.com. Yeah, but no, but I mean, in all seriousness, if somebody wants to talk to you about doing a pilot, whether it's North America or Europe, do they need a 30-person team and $1 million to get started on the pilot, or is this something that? No. At this stage, we're funding the pilots we're working with. Obviously, it's a very dynamic thing because we're already starting some, and it really based on who's the client and what's the engagement and what's the type of deal that it's on the table. But we would like to do everything we can to make this happen. And if we are able to, we'll support it fully, which is what we're doing right now. Anybody that want to reach out to me is very simple. Can either leave us a note on our website, and I'm the one who's responding, or shoot me a direct email on my email, which is ben@wasteless.co, or Oded's email or Yossi's email. Three of us are on top of things. We're moving really fast. We're working very hard. So wasteless.co, right? So ben@wasteless.co.
Yeah.
Do you guys bother with the whole interweb stuff, the Facebookings and the tweetings and the? I mean, can people follow what you guys are up to through any of the social media platforms, or are you guys more stealth than that?
Mostly Facebook is our active vehicle. We're out posting on Twitter and Instagram too, but mostly Facebook.
Mostly Facebook. Okay, cool, man. All right, so if anyone's interested in getting kind of scheduling a pilot with you guys, now you're only grocery, right? It's only grocery. So if there was a different retailer that wanted to explore dynamic pricing outside of the grocery channel, not you guys wouldn't be the guys to talk to.
No, that's not correct. Actually, we would love to work with restaurants and companies like Pret a Manger, for example. They have a lot of fresh food that is sold in a very quick way, and I personally have seen the amount of food they have left at the end of the day. We can sell that food. So I mean,
don't they donate their food to kitchens?
they do, but I'm sure they would like to make money from it instead of donating it.
Don't be ridiculous.
Nobody wants to make money in this world.
All right. I think, unless you've got any questions for me or anything you think I should be asking you that I haven't already.
No. Only thing is, next podcast we do, if we ever do, I would love to do a more personal one and not necessarily a company type podcast.
A more personal one. Are you married?
Yeah.
Are you married yet? You have kids?
I want to talk about some things that happen in my life, and I want to share it. Just kidding. No, but I think more interesting to just get like an overall view on things. Maybe at some point.
I'd like that. And if anyone's listening to this who wants to know more about the real Ben, the man behind the legend,
yeah, you got to me. Your email headline was podcast, and I've been for like 2 months now. I've been telling people I want to do podcasts. I want to do my own podcast and start having people over. And so, yeah, I think I read a lot lately. I do a lot of research, and I feel like there's a very smart people around that just like to hear ideas and bounce ideas and about everything, not necessarily business.
Okay, so hit me. What are you reading right now that sort of is kind of making your brain go crazy?
I mean, a lot of the podcasts I see, they're pretty fascinate me, but lately I'm very interested in how history and biology and how our brain works, Freud and these type of things, and how we are forms of society, and how much of our ideas are ideas that are natural, or how many of them we got fed by westernized television or whatever we're consuming all the time. So I'm all the time trying to investigate what is something that I really want to do, or I want to do it because somebody else told me that I need to be doing this. So I'm trying to learn a lot of the psychology on these things, and so I read and hear a lot of opinions, and it's pretty interesting to me.
That sounds good. A couple of podcasts that I really recommend you take a look at if you haven't already, and not that you look at podcasts, but take a listen to.
Yeah.
Have you come across Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
No, but it sounds Dan Collins.
Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is, in my mind, the most amazing podcast of all time. It's a guy who takes kind of very specific times in history, and he just takes you through what's happening and why it's happening, and incredible. And he does a production. I mean, it's like a 10-hour podcast broken into 5 1.5 to 2 hour podcasts focused on Genghis Khan and the Mongols or something. I mean, it's just crazy good stuff. The other one is a guy called Tim Ferriss.
Oh, Tim Ferriss, I know. So obviously I read 4 Hour Workweek, which you know, and I got recommendations on his podcast from another friend, so I have to do it.
So Tim would probably cringe if you said, okay, Tim Ferriss is the 4 Hour Workweek guy. I mean, that's pretty much how he got his start. But he literally interviews people top in their game when it comes to health, wellness, sports, business, athletics, spirituality. I mean, there's all sorts of different dimensions, and he interviews people who are literally world class and tries to dissect what got them there. And it's just the people he has on are amazing. So Tim Ferriss's podcast is killer.
Yeah, so I've heard that. My first feedback was on Tim Ferriss' podcast would be like, I don't know if I want to listen to that. But then that's what my friend told me, so I have to do it. I did really like the book. I'm sure it's a lot different. I've seen him in South by Southwest. I listened to some of his stuff. So
yeah. So those are the two that are must-have. There's another one which is a big deal for me, but maybe not relevant for you. There's a guy called Brian Koppelman, and
okay.
Brian is a writer. He wrote Billions, the TV show. He also did a number of pretty kind of movies which kind of set a genre. Brian Koppelman interviews film people, musicians, different kind of people in the creative space, and his podcasts are amazing.
Got him down too.
All right, man. Give me one podcast, and then we can let everyone go and do get on with their lives without listening to me and you jamming on.
I would say listen to Joe Rogan and Chris Ryan. Chris Ryan wrote a book called Sex at Dawn. Pretty interesting. I mean, obviously not interesting book, but he has a podcast with Joe Rogan and another guy called Duncan, and they talk about a lot of interesting stuff and also about drugs. But
so that you would actually listen to that before you'd listen to Joe Rogan's specific, the Joe Rogan experience. You would.
Some of them are part of Joe Rogan experience. They have like some of them they host him and he hosts. Actually, the ones I watch or listen to are from Joe Rogan experience. He just hosts them. But he has like, I don't know how many now, over 1,000 or something. I've only watched like 5 of them.
He does 4 or 5 a week. It's crazy.
So there's so much knowledge out there, and sometimes I listen and it blows my mind. And like hearing stuff that the Kellogg's guy, he invented the cornflakes so people have less sexual desire, and they actually show the research and stuff. It's crazy.
So cornflakes are supposed to stop sexual desire. Is that?
Yeah, the guy Kellogg's, the guy who invented it, apparently was really anti-sex, and he wanted to invent something that will make people less desire sex. So he invented this. Yeah. Okay. Apparently, he had other inventions that were really crazy. They didn't go as successful as the cornflakes.
I wish I understood the correlation between cornflakes and sex. I don't personally get it. I mean, I've seen certain shirts and trousers and jackets that would turn someone off, but I'm not sure how a cornflake is supposed to turn you off.
Yeah.
All right, man. Tell me what's going on in Tel Aviv right now. I'm guessing what is it? It's kind of 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's 9:20. Actually, I have a call with investors in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it's Thursday, so normally like this is the time that I'm supposed to start drinking or something. But because Israel, we don't have Sunday like in other places.
So
Sunday is a
Friday,
day.
Friday, Saturdays, right?
Yeah, so Thursday evening is basically like everybody's happiest day. But I'll take those calls, and I was happy to talk to you, and then go out with my friends to a bar or something.
So after the investor meeting, you're going to go out for a bar and have some booze?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Man. All right, I'm going to let you get back to it. Next time we'll do the podcast, it will be all about Ben. Okay, we'll learn what's going on with you and your life.
Gently.
All right, dude. Thanks for giving me some time today. I'm going to pause it, and then I'm just going to say goodbye to you. One sec. Pause.